Hi, Kathy.
Hey, Joe. How you doing? How was your power?
Good. What an adventure. How about you? You all set?
We
back
never
up running?
lost power. Never lost it. We were.
Oh, boy, am I envious of you.
Oh, well, I know my daughter in Bristol. She just got it back last night. It's bad. Trees down in.
It's been quite a week.
Oh yeah.
Oh man. Did she come over to your house to for some respite with the kids?
Yep. Oh yes.
Yes. Nice to have family around.
I know. Yeah, a tree took down the line from her house to the street, so that made it even worse.
Oh man. So she was out almost a week, huh?
Yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah.
Especially with little ones.
Yeah. Hey, they're 2nd and 3rd grade now. I can't believe it.
Wow, time flies.
I know.
I still picture them as truly little ones, 2, 3 years old.
I know. It's hard to believe. And how old are yours now? Jeez.
Oh yeah, they're getting up there. Going into 10th and 12th grade.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you blink your eyes and they're grown up.
Oh my God.
Good evening, everyone. Just be aware that we are streaming now.
Okay.
And the link has been updated on the district website.
Thank you.
Got the message from Todd Benson that he can't call in with that number on the agenda right now. He texted you and I. You're muted.
I'm working on it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Oh, hello.
Hi.
Hi. God, sometimes I forget how handsome I am.
Who said that, Paul?
Who else, right?
He said I was just trying to call you. Or just trying to call me, Jess?
No, she's talking to Todd. He's having a problem signing in.
Todd is also, he'll be calling in a moment.
Perfect. I think that he has to give his business manager's report. That's great. I'd like to call the August 10th, 2020 Board of Education meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The mission of the Woolkit Public Schools is to promote the academic, social, and emotional development of all students to become contributing members of the global community. First item on the agenda, is the approval of the minutes for the regular meeting of July 13th, 2020.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Leonard. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Mazza. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next are the approval of the special meeting of July 20, 2020. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Hughes. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Cordone. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next is the approval of the minutes from the special meeting of August 3rd, 2020. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Gugliotti. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Paul. Mr. D'Angelo. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next, our committee reports. If we could start with Mr. Gugliotti on the finance topics discussed at the
Yeah,
committee.
we met tonight and then we got a report from Todd Benson, our business manager, who informed us that obviously we didn't get as much detail as we normally do because power was out at the business office this week, but we were given the pending invoices for 2019, 2020, 2020 to 2021. There were budget reports attached. There is a transfer that's will be discussed on tonight's agenda that was proposed to us. Todd gave us a summary of the health claims and also a copy of the check register.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Gugliotti.
Yep.
Mr. Charette, if you could discuss facility topics discussed.
Yes, tonight I brought forward a petition with 245 signatures presented by Jim Scully Jr. with the interest of naming the Woolkit High School Gymnasium Court. We spoke about that, and the board will be forming a subcommittee with the chairman of the Board of Ed as ex officio superintendent of schools, ex officio member of the Board of Education at large, a member of the Board of Education's facility committee, an administrator, a teacher, a parent of a student enrolled in the Woolkit Public Schools, and 2 residents of the community not represented. And that'll be for the purposes of reviewing the proposal, the petition.
Great. And just to add to that, we'll be putting on the website at some point, soliciting for the additional people that we need to get on that naming committee. And as of right now, it consists of Kelly Mazza, Chris Charette, and Kathy Cordone. Thank you for recommending that you guys would do that. Thank you. And now we will move on to, wait, is there anything from ACES, Ms. Leonard? I didn't know if there was any report on ACES. Okay.
No, we have a meeting on the 13th.
Okay. And Mr. Gugliotti, nothing on the building committee, correct?
I will give one little update on the building committee. We have an invoice that's in contention that came in late that we need to approve, and I'm soliciting the building committee members to approve that bill. It's a small amount. It's still within our funds that we have available to us, so we don't need to go for any other funds. It's just that it's one of those that was hanging out there, and it's got to be resolved and submitted. And once we do that, we're done.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So now we will be moving on to communications. This evening, Mr. Simpson will be stepping in for Dr. Gasper. Welcome, Mr. Simpson.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. In your packet this evening, you will find thank you cards from a 2020 Woolkit High School graduate, a former employee, and a current employee. And that's it for communications.
Thank you. And next item on the agenda is the business manager's report. Mr. Benson?
Yes, thank you. At the committee of the whole, we went over vendor invoices, the amount of $376,264.68 for fiscal year 1920, and $677,734 for fiscal year 2021. The September payroll estimate is $1,500,000, and there's a transfer request totaling $259,978.10.
Okay, great. Mr. Simpson, do you have a resolution?
I do. Thank you. I have a resolution on behalf of Dr. Anthony Gasper, Superintendent of Schools, to the Honorable Board of Education of the Town of Wolcott, making the following recommendation: to approve expenditures in the amount of $376,264.68 paid on August 11th, 2020 for the fiscal year 2019-2020. To approve expenditures in the amount of $677,734 paid on August 11th, 2020 for the fiscal year 2020-2021. And to approve the September 2020 payroll expenditures in the amount of $1,500,000 for the fiscal year 2020-2021.
Okay, is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Gugliotti, second by Mr. D'Angelo. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next is transfers. Next are transfers, excuse me.
Budget transfers. I have a resolution on behalf of Dr. Anthony Gasper, Superintendent of Schools, to the Honorable Board of Education of the Town of Wolcott, making the following recommendation: to authorize the transfer of $259,978.10 from fiscal year 2019-2020 as presented in the Business Manager's Report.
Okay, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Gugliotti. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Leonard. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, Madam Chair.
Yes?
I'd just like to ask Todd, because I don't know if this is a fact or not. Are these the last of the transfers, Todd? And are we ready to close out 2019, 2020?
We will have one more check run the last meeting in August, and there may be some small transfers, but this is the bulk of them that would close it out. But we still are waiting for a few bills. The June unemployment bill is still pending, and a couple other bills and some bills that we have encumbrance open for. But those should be, the invoices should match what the encumbrances are. But so we're almost there. One more, the last meeting will close everything out.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you very much.
You're
Okay,
welcome.
is there any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next is the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a report from Dr. Anthony Gasper. As you have seen on the FAQ document, I have announced that non-athletic extracurricular activities will be suspended until at least October 2nd while we implement our transitional hybrid opening. I had a CAPS executive board meeting on Friday morning. At this time, there is no update from CIAC on athletics. I have had relatively few responses to the board's votes from last Monday and the FAQ document that I had posted earlier this week. I did receive a handful of supportive emails and one not in support of the hybrid model that was also addressed to each board member. The governor announced Thursday that there will be more funding for schools in the reopening. Neither Mr. Benston nor myself have received details about what items or services might qualify for such funding. We've also not received any info on what WPS's potential allotment would be. We were without, as you all know, network service throughout the district for 2 days last week while WHS was out of power. WHS houses our data center. Power was restored Thursday and Alex Pagan worked on bringing systems back on. Typical cleaning, waxing, and painting of schools continues. Because of the school closure in the springtime, we did have a head start on a lot of this work, and some nice painting and sprucing up is able to be done over this summer. Vestibule projects continue at each of the schools. Completion dates are still unclear, dependent upon the availability of materials. And finally, Thursday, the governor announced that 55% of school districts plan on opening full-time. This somewhat mirrors our own parent data. For your context, there are many districts in our part of the state that are very small and others that have been shrinking and discussing closing school buildings. Others look like us and will have a plan very similar to ours. Medium to larger districts will have different plans, and these districts serve the majority of Connecticut's children. For example, New Haven is opening in a fully remote model. As I said in last Monday's meeting, each district is grappling with its own variables. And that's the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Simpson. And now we'll be moving on to old business, and there is none this evening. So next on to new business. First item on the agenda is the consent agenda.
I have a resolution on behalf of Dr. Anthony Gasper, Superintendent of Schools, to the Honorable Board of Education of the Town of Wolcott, making the following recommendation: to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Okay, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Mazza. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Charette. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next is public comment. When Ms. Kenny says your name, if there's anyone on, your last two digits, excuse me, you will press *6 and then you'll be able to address the board at this time, and please keep it 2 minutes. Okay, Ms. Kenny.
I do not have anybody calling in except for Mr. Benson.
Okay, all right, then moving on to executive session. I'd like to entertain a motion that the board will go into executive session for the purposes of discussing a non-certified employee, and I'd like to invite Mr. Simpson to that executive session. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Hughes. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Gugliotti. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everyone. If you wouldn't mind just logging out of this and logging back into the other one. Thank you. Have a good night,
Thank you.
everyone.
Good night.
We'll see you guys when you get back.
Good night.
Good night, Ted.